The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
Hey kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Hey kids, welcome back. Okay, what this box is your hopes and your dreams and your escape from your wife into your shop and all the wonderful things that means. So what this is the Crackerbox V-Box from Joe at ZippKits. The link is in the description. I always forget to do that. Sometimes I don't. So anyway, this is how they come. Not very thick. Okay? So this is, the wife and the kids are out of town for the weekend doing a family thing, and I had to work, and I work from home, so I had to stay behind. So I'm taking this wonderful cold October evening to start this project with you. So my buddy Chris in Ohio and a few others were pretty interested in seeing a build video on a boat. I have never done a build video on a boat because it's a rather lengthy process, obviously. Now, I usually build a Crackerbox in 2 days, give or take. That's not paint and all that, but you know. Most of that time is your epoxies, drying, and things like that. I don't know how we're going to do this. You know, I'm used to doing build videos on quadcopters and drones and things like that from the old days. I'll try to make this good. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be a bag of ass. We'll find out. But this is a Crackerbox. This is not an F1 hydroplane. This is not an outrigger that's super high precision and you have to have all the strength in certain areas. You know, yes, it does have its own nuances, but it's not the space shuttle. It's a Crackerbox. This would be your first boat to build. The V-Box Crackerbox from ZippKits, in my opinion, should be the first gas boat kit. If you're not used to building, that you should build, okay? And if you futz it up, buy another one and build it again. It's reasonably cheap. You can see how much they cost. But cut your teeth on this. This will get you used to using the clamps and using pressures and using glues and the amount of glues and the patience, and then find out how many patience you don't have and things like that. So very, very, that's why I'm doing a build video on this. And if this goes well, maybe we'll do build videos on everything. I don't know. But this is a really great, I build these all the time. I build them for friends. I build them for me. I go through, I build myself at least 2 of these a year, and I usually destroy 2 of them a year just because I beat the living hell out of them. So without further ado, let's do an unboxing. All right. Real exciting. People think, oh, I ordered a boat. I can't, new guys. I would love to see their faces. I ordered my new kit from ZippKits. Man, I can't wait for that to get here. Blah, blah, blah. And they open it up. They get it from the FedEx man. Thank you, Joe, for that. The FedEx I like. And they get a 2-inch high box. Like, it's not a boat. It's a plank. True story. So, didn't cut my tape. All right. I'm going to change this camera angle a little bit. All right, here it is. So let's get rid of the box. There's your boat. Okay. Now, when I used to teach robotics programming classes and stuff like that, I used to tell my students, I would say, if you want to read the manual, do it on your own time. We're all grown people here. So we're not going to go over the manual. I'm going to, so Joe, usually you don't have to send me the manuals. I know you probably already have these things pre-boxed, but you can save yourself some paper, and you don't have to send me that. But I will tell you the way you're supposed to do it, and then I'll show you the way I do it, because I'm sure that I do things. I might take shortcuts, or I might tips and tricks and tips here and there, whatever. So I'm going to go over what's in the kit. Instruction manual, obviously. Okay, this little piece of pretty aluminum is your center skeg. Okay, this is kind of like your keel. Wait a minute. Is this a flat bottom? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did I order the wrong one? A-box. Hey, guess what, kids? We're changing it. It's an A-box build, not a V-box. I guess I ordered the wrong one. That's okay. It's just as easy to build. An A-box, the difference between an A-box and a V-box is the V-box has a V-bottom. It tapers up a little bit more maybe. And it runs with a stinger on the back. And its handles a little bit more like a mono. The reason I like that for a beginner boat, actually the A-box is easier to build for a beginner than the V-box. But the V-box is easier to drive and set up, in my opinion. So, either way, the A-box is the legal class cracker. This is the one that you can build and be legal in races. V-box, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, there is no class 4, which there should be. That's a fun-ass boat. And I don't know, Joe, if you're watching, if you invented or came up with the V-box, because I've never seen anybody else do that. If you have, let us know, because I think it's an absolutely fun boat. They're so much fun. The A-boxes are so much fun too, but you got to be a little bit more sensitive on the trigger. But that's okay. We'll get to that. That's okay. So anyway, back to this. We're building an A-box now. This is a center skeg. This is kind of like a keel, okay? This is going to help your boat keep going straight in the straights. And we'll mount this in. We're going to sharpen it up, and I have a couple tricks with that. Fiberglass. Ooh, this is for reinforcement for the transom in the center. Okay. He gives you plenty. Now, you can either use fiberglass resin, or you can use epoxy resin. I think the instructions say epoxy. Could be wrong on that. I've done it both ways. Works good. This is your dowel for your handle. I told you the other day when in one of my videos, all the cracker boxes, at least that Joe does, have a grip handle on the port side. So you can get it out of the water and you can launch it, whatever. That's what that is, okay? And then it's all hand wrapped for Christmas with cellophane. Okay. Now we're going to separate our parts real quick. Pretty easy. All laser cut, very nice. Joe very rarely has to sharpen his laser. All right. So here's a bulkhead. I'm just going to separate these into bits. Piles, if you will. Here's another bulkhead. Another bulkhead. Transom bulkhead. Now I've built a few of these. So hopefully I don't rush through and just take things for granted and mess up. I probably will. Now, the servo mounts, I don't build. I do my own servo box, so I'll go over building the box with you, I guess, but I've never even built the servo mounts, I don't know. Another bulkhead. Now, these are the rear lid or the hatch lips. Put those in their own pile. Okay. There we go. Sharpen that laser. All right. Now, make sure, it's late at night, make sure you didn't miss nothing. Okay? Good stuff. All right, radio box gear. Put that over there. Radio box, radio box, radio box. Now, the trick to laser cut kits. Servo mounts. The one thing you want to do is any edges that you're going to be gluing to with a laser cut kit, take a quick piece of 80 grit sandpaper, that's what I use, and sand off the laser burn. It helps the epoxy, these are deck rails, helps the epoxy adhere in. And like I said, you guys that have built boats as well, please feel free to chime in and enter some tips, tricks, or whatever. There's a chine. We'll go over all these parts during assembly. But you got upper chines, got lower chines. And you also, you see these nubs here? You want to sand those nubs off. Okay. Later. Here's a keel brace. You want to keep that. Another keel brace. You want to keep that. That doesn't actually go as part of the boat. That's part of the fixture. Okay. Man, I have my head all wrapped around building a V-box for you guys. So that's okay. A-box is a real cracker. So that's okay. I'm not disappointed at all. Y'all just gonna, if you're gonna follow along with this, the V-box, what I'll try to do, because I built a lot of both. Here's supports. I will try to explain as we do the build the difference in building techniques for a V-box versus an A-box. The biggest difference, in my opinion, besides shaft tube placement, is the bottom. Because the bottom on a V-box obviously is V'd, and it has much more of a deeper strafe to it. That's okay. We'll figure it out. Nothing left in that. Firewood. Let's put some of this stuff. I'm going to move some of this junk around here. Okay, what do we got here? We got engine rails. So what we're going to do our laminates first. And we're going to get our fixture on. So we're going to pop all these parts out. Now, if you want to, if you're one of those dudes that's like, you got to get away from your wife and you just want to go chill out, and you really want to take your time, you're not in a rush to build. I'm usually not in a rush to build. I just build fast for some reason. I don't know. Deck plates. You can take each one of these parts out one by one. You can follow the directions, which probably is a good idea if it's your first boat. Maybe watch this video. Read the directions a couple times. There's a deck. And then you could take each part. Wait a minute. Hang on. Where'd it go? Always lose that sanding block. Anyway, I got a real, oh, there it is. A Woodruff key looking sanding block. Or a 2x4. And you can take each one of these little dudes. Anything that's going to have a mating surface. Or you can just do, not even, if you're new to it, you're not necessarily sure what's going to be a mating surface. You can go ahead and pre-sand everything if you want to. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to get all of this stuff unlatched and all the doublers glued together and our fixture plate put in, and then tomorrow we'll do bulkheads and other, I don't really want to get into mixing epoxies too much tonight just because it's kind of cold in here, and I'll show you some tricks for that. So here's some more deck plate. I'm not sure if you can see all this, but you will. Need a laser sharpener. Okay. Now, all the people that I get laser kits from, Joe is one of my primary. Oops, just broke that. We can fix it. See that? You gotta be more careful. See, I wasn't careful. It's okay. You'll never see that. From Joe and ML and those cats. Blazer Marine. But I probably buy the most from Joe just because they're fun. Laser cuts, so the way to go. If you guys have ever built, if you guys have ever built a Dumas, now, I've got a buddy out in Washington. Actually, no, he just moved to California. Sad guy. He got a good job. He's built Dumas, and he does a really good job. The dude's got the patience of a freaking saint in a leper colony, man. I'm telling you, because I built a Dumas when I was a little kid, but it was a swamp buggy, so I don't know if that really counts. Pretty tiny little thing. And they're die cut. At least they were back then. I'm assuming they still are. They were designed in like 1922. The last time the dies were sharpened was 1921. My God. I've thrown a couple of them kits away. That's how bad they were. And you get in this laser cut stuff, it's like cheating. It is so easy compared to a die cut. I love Dumas and their die cut crap. It's like they're cut with lawnmower blades, and they don't even have directions. It's just like, here's a blueprint. Sand it down so it fits, and hope you stick the right parts in. Poor Dumas. All right. Dumas would be awesome. Awesome kits if they're laser, because, man, they got some great tugboats, and they don't build anything fast, really, but at least not that I remember. Yeah, a couple of the outboards were. But, man, you turn them into laser, now you're cooking with gas, man. Good stuff. So, all right, here's another bottom piece. Put that to the side. Now, Joe supplies you. One thing that's great about the ZippKit stuff, and I am not sponsored or anything like that. I help him out when I can because I think he's a good person, and I like the crew over there. Really good people. But I bought this kit, rightly so. I just like pointing out the good and bad of it. There's not much bad to it, to be honest. Okay. They give you a fixture plate. Now, the thing that I like to do, you guys have seen this nasty ass workbench. This thing's nasty. It is flat, but it's, yeah. What I like to do on a boat like this, a hydroplane is a little harder, just because you've got a lot more things to think about for flatness and whatnot. But hang on a minute, I got some of this super tape on here. Damn. All right, make sure all the schmutz is off. All right. Excuse me, it's cold out here. All right, so I take my fixture and I actually staple it to a removable board. Okay? This way, I'm not clogging up my bench all the time. And if I want to move it away, I can. Now, I showed you in a video the other day, I think it was the overview video of the V-Box. There we go. Where I had a race hatch, and I had the little Lego guys on the hatch. This is what I build that race hatch out of. I use the hatch that he makes, that Joe makes, which is this, that we're going to seam together. Okay, I make this, and either put the dudes on it or whatever. Then what I do, after this one's made, and I'm done, I will literally trace it on this tooling fixture when it's done, and I'll make another one or two. I can use a race hatch. I don't have to have the people. Okay, so let's separate through these parts here. Radio box, bottom, I believe. Top lip, whatever. These are the engine rails, so these are going to be doubled up. Now you'll notice they're not totally bilateral, okay, or symmetrical, whichever way you're looking at it. This is carburetor side because it's got the notch. So these are going to be put together like meow, as Cartman would say. Okay. These are the other side, exhaust side, no carburetor slot. Meow. Okay. And then you're going to have your flex shaft tube brace going through that. So those get doubled up. So anything gets doubled up, that's what I want to attack right now. This is our keel. Okay, we're going to double that up. None of these get doubled up. These are our bulkheads. Now, in a lot of boats, transom plate, that goes on last. None of these get doubled up. So we're going to set these aside. Radio box, crapola. Okay, the brace. Nose brace, keel brace. This gets doubled up as well. No! This is a throwaway. This does not get glued to the boat. More radio box, crapola. Deck braces. Those don't get doubled up. This I thought did. What are my nuts on that? So if you're ever wondering, yep, it does. Yeah, been a while. Okay, yep, there it is. Okay. If you're ever wondering, it's like you look at the laser cut, don't have much slot. So you slide this in here, it's like, hey now. Now it says all this in the directions. Joe has really good directions with his boats. Really good. But I built enough of these that I don't really follow those too often. Okay. Bada bang. So that's a doubler. This is all, oh, these are doublers. Okay. These are not. Just sorting our bits and bobs. Okay. So this is for the throw rail or the throw handle. Remember that? These get doubled up. These get doubled up. Okay. That's a doubler. 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 Now I've had some boats, hydroplanes especially, I can't remember who, if it was ML or whoever it was. Man, you doubled. What boat did I build? He tripled and quadrupled. That was crazy, man. It was nuts. So we're gonna get our big magic box of clamps out. This is not all my clamps, but that's some of them. And our wood glue. Hang on. Oh, there goes propane. Boom. Okay. Got a drink. All right. Type Bond 3. Just went over this in the other video. This is pretty much the only thing I use it for. Is our doublers. So it doesn't really matter what kind of clamps you use for this. I really, for doublers, really like these. Okay. We're going to grab a few. You can get these at Staples or my favorite store, Amazon. Okay, grab a few. We'll get started. Now, okay. Sometimes, yeah, like that, these get clogged up. You might be able to take a razor knife and get lucky. Yeah, I got lucky. All right. Maybe. All right, cool. So, what I do with these, these are bilateral parts. Symmetrical parts, sorry. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. You don't have to make a left and right. As long as the patterns match, you're okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some wood glue. If you get too much, it cleans up with water. Try not to get it in the holes like I just did. But even if you do, just take a little file rasp. Now, that's all I do. Now, you can take a brush if you want to waste an epoxy brush. I don't. I go like this. Give it a good swirling. I try to wipe it off. Yeah, you can use a rag. This is why my wife always complains that I'm so damn messy. But the goal here is you want to try not to get it all over the part. If it's all over you, that's one thing. But I'm going to sand all these bottom edges anyway to get that laser off. So I'm not too concerned. If you have big blobs of glue in the holes, you want to get rid of that. Okay. Make sure you're lined up two-dimensionally. Okay. This is actually one of the harder parts to do, and it's not hard. Very easy boat to build. Super, super easy to build. And again, even if you've got some glue in there, it's wood glue. You can just take a razor blade and cut it out. I don't get real anal with it. I'd rather get it together fast because I'm going to sand it anyway. So, and then I usually just hang it up, or if you use these things, they stand like that. Works pretty well. So, just basically do that exact same process. These are a little bit more critical, okay? I hate getting glue into these. It really pisses me off because then I have to take my Dremel and get through there. It hurts me. Now, these are going to be epoxied in too. This is just laminating. Okay, just like frosting a cake. Because, you know, all us boat builders build lots of cakes, sure. Trying not to be sexy, but see that? All that mess there? You could be a lot more careful, and some guys would be like, oh my God, you're so messy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it'll be perfect. It'll look nice. We'll get that stuff out. God's gift to boat building, in my opinion, Dremel tools. I don't think I'd even build boats if I didn't have a Dremel on a flex shaft. Absolutely love it. I have like 4 of them. I have them as backups just in case. And then just wipe this stuff off. See that gap? You want to make sure you clamp her up nice. So you get all this. Because if you don't get this tight and lined up, that's critical too, obviously. Because if these are like this, you're never going to get this over your bulkheads. It's going to be nasty, nasty. So, couple ways to get that out. Anything. I mean, you can take a zip strip if you want to. Not a big deal. But the more you can get out of this, and this is very messy. I'm not usually this messy, but I'm trying to video and talk, and I'm not concentrating as much as I should be. It's okay. I'm going to run sand. I'm going to sand all these edges. Don't care about the edges. I'm really concerned about these slots being lined up in happy days. Okay, so we could do this too. The old lady got some Q-tips in her bathroom. Steal them. Yeah, I get in trouble a lot. Okay, make sure all your schmutz is out. Yeah, probably put another clamp right there. Excuse me, I got a runny nose. I always have a runny nose. Guys say, "What it smells like? It sounds like you're on cocaine." I'm like, I'm not on cocaine. I'm too old for cocaine. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these real quick. I don't think you really need to see. I think you get the gist, and I'll be right back. All right, so we've got all the doublers doubling up, if you will, except for those. Ah, crap. What do I do with that one? There's a fourth one laying around here somewhere. Anyway, I'll find... There it is. Okay, now these pieces here, I don't use wood glue on because these are going to get coated in epoxy anyway. I mean, like coated in epoxy. And this is a removable throwaway. This is just to hold your stuff in the tooling or the fixture. Okay? So what I do is I use CA glue. Let me grab my activator. I went over this in the adhesives video, and I told you guys I use medium CA, and I use these little squirt bottles. Now with CA, you might as well ditch this little cap because I'm going to show you some tricks with that. How I fill these up, they give you little funnels with these bottles. I don't use those. Squeeze it, trust me. And then squeeze, and then let it fill up and expand. Do that, squeeze it again, fill and expand. Okay, the reason why, because you'll get air trapped in there, and that CA glue will go all over the top of the bottle and cover your hands, and it'll be a bad day. That sucks. Okay, I'm going to show you a trick with that too here in a minute. Alright, so with these, very simple. It doesn't matter. This is a throwaway piece of whatever. Okay? Joe puts it in the kit for helping you hold your nose of the boat, the bow. So we're just going to do a little bit of that. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. You do want it lined up because you want that notch to slide into the tooling. I keep calling it tooling because in my world, fixturing for robotic welding is called tooling. This is a fixture. Okay. And I just spray the edge with a little bit of activator. Hold it for a second because this activator sucks. It's slow. It's not as fast as the Zap stuff. Okay, done. Okay, and I do the same thing with these. So you'll notice 2 of them are round, 2 of them are square, and but aside from that, they're symmetrical. So we're going to do the exact same thing, just a little bit. These are going to get smothered in epoxy later. These are just basically placeholders, but you want to make sure that that hole is nice and open. Okay. Only takes a second. Now, same thing. And the reason I don't use wood glue on these pieces is I just don't care. I'm not going to waste good clamping time on something so small. Clamps come at a premium. Every time you go to Harbor Freight, every time you go to Menards, buy clamps. Even if you're there for light bulbs and liquid plumber for your old lady, buy clamps, because when you think you have enough, you will need 20 more. I promise you that. Buy the cheapest you can find. We'll be going over clamps later. So these are done. I don't CA glue the big stuff because it'll glue too fast and you could screw things up. So there you go. Bob's your uncle. Done. Now, here's a trick. Hang on a minute. These little bottles are awesome. Okay? However, they clog up with CA. So if you want to keep the metal stem free of CA, you can use that little rubber topper all you want. It's still going to harden. Tomorrow morning you come out here, it ain't going to happen. Take a lighter, cook it a minute, gone. It'll be perfect. It'll stay like this for the next 5 weeks. No issues. Same thing with thread lock. However, when thread lock gets clogged up, this one's a little bit more scary. You're going to hold the thing over it and then squirt it, and it'll actually come out like a fireball. It's pretty cool. So don't do it near your face. Anyhow, so that's how you keep your bottles alive. So the last thing we're going to do for today's video. I was not supposed to glue those together. I do that every time. Damn it. See, that's why you read the manual, kids. So that's another reason I CA stuff. I even told myself, dude, there's something you're not thinking there. So we all mess up. And I've built thousands of these things. But this is another reason CA is nice. Fixed. This, I don't know if you guys can probably see it, is going to actually go like this. Sorry, Joe. I have done that. I've built probably 20 flat bottom crackers, A boxes, and I think I've done that every single damn time. So that's okay. So these pieces that say keel brace, don't glue them together like I just did. There's my schmutz up for the day. We're going to glue them in like that because they're a keel brace. Now, so we're going to do, we don't need any more clamps for right now. We do need our bulkheads. So, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, these go, and this is all in the manual, up front. Okay. Then, obviously, if you know anything about boats at all, smallest bulkhead in the front. That one. That one has a number 1 on it that's upside down. There's a 3. Where's our number 2? Here's a number 2. It's upside down. Okay. Here's number 3 that's upside down. Put the camera over so you guys can see. It's number 4 that's upside down. See the 4? All facing rearward. Now here's the trick. You always have to think, the trick to these that might be hard for some people. There's the 5. Okay. And I'll do an overview of all this. I'll take the camera off because I know I probably can't get the entire thing in here. Think you're building this boat upside down. Don't lose sight of that, okay? Remember the rod I told you was on the exhaust side. This boat's upside down in the jig, right? So the exhaust side's on the right. But if you're looking at the boat like this and it was right side up, carb side's on the right or starboard, okay? So when you're building this particular kit, make sure the numbers are facing the back. Notice the front, if you look at the jig, there's an F there. F for bow, okay? Stern, all right? So the numbers of your bulkheads are going to go in the back, facing back, all right? This rod, this handle, goes on the port side, which, since you're upside down, is this side. So, there you go. All right? Now, this is how I do it. Do it any way you want. Some people are going to say, oh, it's not how you do it. Well, I don't give a shit. This is how I do it. Okay? I take my little 3D printed squares. Yeah. Joe actually sent me this one. Oops, there's my hat. A while back. Damn it. He just threw it in as a gimme. It's a great little square for... Matter of fact, I think I might just use it. Okay? So the important thing with this, I'm going to tack all of this stuff in. You want to make sure that your stuff is square. See that? Like that. Then what we're going to do, you only have to do one side. That's how I do it. Thanks for the square, Joey. All right. I'm going to put a little bead of CA there. I'm going to shoot it with accelerant or accelerator. I'm just going to wait because this is shitty accelerator. Buy the good stuff. Don't buy that stuff. That stuff sucks. It's just not great. And make sure you're all the way flush and down. Okay. Same thing with this. And it's not going to be in there deathly tight. Okay. We're just doing this to set it. This is how I do it. Again, it's a Crackerbox, not Space Shuttle. The important part is that you want a nice flat surface. My bench is kind of... Usually before a boat build, I will go out and buy a new piece of plywood. Usually 1/2 to 3/4 inch plywood that fits this bench. and I screw it down in the corners, and I sand my bench first, believe it or not. Then I bolt down or screw down the wood, and then I build my boat. And I usually replace that wood every build. That's just me. You don't have to do that. But in this case of a cracker, I like this little modular idea. So again, make sure you're all the way down. So I'm pushing down with my fingers, putting a bit of CA in there, making sure I'm square. It's pretty easy to do with one hand. But again, if I was using good activator, see how it didn't even do shit. That ain't no good. Let's try it again. Okay. Don't be afraid to fill up the gap. You can be sloppy as hell with this. I mean, this is you're cutting all this stuff off anyway. You're going to go in there with tin snips or whatever at the end of this and cut these off. So you can put hot glue in there for all I care, as long as it stays and it's solid. Let the glue sit in a little bit. I use medium CA. Thin is really nice for this, but sometimes you have gaps, and the thin doesn't. Yeah, it might soak in better, but it doesn't hold as good. Okay, so there's two. We'll do one more, and then I'll just do the rest off camera because it's mundane. Same principle applies here. Make sure you're seated all the way down. That's important, or you're going to have a cockeyed boat. Don't want no cockeyed boat. And it's going to run like an Oxidine, and you could have just bought one of his. Ain't got no time for cockeyed boats. Alright. Because think about it, if you don't get that bulkhead all the way down, whole thing's going to have a twist in it. That's why it's very important to build on a flat surface. Now, again, if you're doing a hydroplane or something that's really picky, crackers aren't that picky. I'm sorry. I love them. I love crackers. One of my favorite boats. But you can have a little bit more slop, and they're a little bit more forgiving in their building process. That's why I say, use one of these for a starter boat. So I got one. Oh, you guys let me screw up. This is supposed to be number two. See, I'm sitting here talking like a Dunsky. There we go. It's all right. See, that's why you tack first. See, I'm showing you all the messes. See, a professional would edit this out. I'm not a professional. Not at this. Don't want to be. Although, the way they say it takes 10,000 hours to be considered a master. I'm going to have to redo that. I probably got about 50,000 hours in boats, and I'm still not a master. But it's fun. You know, I think... I'm just going to rant for a little bit here. You know, I get on these boat forums, and I very rarely say anything. I just kind of watch what other people say. And it's like, these guys get a little too serious about stuff. I mean, I could understand it if it was like your livelihood, you know, or something like that. But these dudes, man, they just... That's not how you do it. Yeah, it's my way's the right way. If you're not doing it my way, you're just a cock star. You don't know what you're talking about. Well... Fine. You know what's my boat. If you don't like it, shut up. Alright, so I'm sanding off this CA that I put on this one by accident. Trying not... No, I didn't even glue that side. Trying not to make it too tapered. But again. Alright. Let's see this stuff. It still didn't. This activator's really not good. I'm going back to my Zap. This stuff's not good. That still sucks. All right. And also, sometimes when you mount these into the jig, there might be a little bit of a gap. Sometimes it's actually better to pull it back, put the glue in the gap, then push it forward. Helps it adhere a little, give it a little bit more guts in there, but there you go. All right, so I'm going to do the other one too, off camera, and then we can do some more stuff maybe. We'll see. And be right back. We're back. So everything's done. You can see here. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is it does make a little bit more sense to sand these before you glue them in. I've done it both ways, but it is easier to just set these on a table edge and run sandpaper down the edges and down here, but it's just as easy to do it the other way too, because once I get my rails in and everything else, a lot of times I'm going to probably end up sanding this whole thing anyway, just to make sure everything's nice and level and good. So, yeah, but it is easier to do. So we're not really ready yet with the glue time for our center keel or our engine rails. I'd like these to be a little bit more, still a little gooey there. Because obviously I want to put those in after they're nice and tight. So I think we're going to call it good for tonight. So we've got our doublers done. We've got our bulkheads in. A couple mistakes, not a big deal, easily fixed. Again, don't get too crazy about the squareness of this process, because look, okay, they're in there. Even if you epoxied those, you use cement and nuclear force, they're still going to be like that. It's squarish. It's octa-square. Don't get too anal about it. You want to worry more when you start getting all of your structure in. That's what your hands look like when you get wood glue on them. So, until tomorrow, we will continue on with our A-box build. It's going to be very nice. And I want you guys, I always do a theme with my boats, like Lego Man, Nintendo, crap like that. Sometimes it's just an off-the-wall weird thing. If anybody's got any good themes they can think of that I haven't already done, that would be cool. I was actually thinking about doing a G.I. Joe boat. I don't know. I thought that'd be pretty sweet, because I was a big G.I. Joe guy as a kid. But either way, so until next time, kids, till tomorrow, keep the dry side up. Take care.
Gangnam Style.